Hello to anyone who watches this video, but mostly my professors, of course. In this video commentary, I'll be talking about racial prejudice and discrimination in video games. Now, I will say that the footage that you're going to see is of Dragon Age Inquisition. I tried my best to find specific instances within this game where racial prejudice and discrimination was shown, but the instances that I researched were kind of farther in the game than I was able to get, and the time limit I had to play it because it is a massive game and I only had so much time between my other classes and work. So I did get some good scenes that I think will really help with the point I'm trying to make. So here we go. So the topic I picked. Why did I pick this topic? I picked racial prejudice and discrimination because I knew that I wanted to do a video commentary for my final project, and this was a topic that recently stood out to me after playing this game. I only started playing Dragon Age Inquisition after playing the first Dragon Age for class, and I already played it before. It was kind of nostalgic, and I wanted to play the next one. So when I did, I noticed right away, and probably you're probably seeing now, that certain races within the game were treated differently. They were talked to differently. They were, approached differently. And I never really, I noticed it in other games, but I never really, it never really affected me in any way. I just thought it was a part of the game. I never really thought about it more than I had to. And after playing this game, I wanted to, look into it in other games. Obviously, the first Dragon Age, but other games, even by the same company, is somebody different. So I picked this game instead of picking another one mainly because it was on the PS4 and this was the easiest to get footage for. My first choice was Skyrim, but this game is revolved around a lot of prejudice, pretty much. Like for the main point for the first part of the game, there's a rebellion going on between the mages and what are called the Templars, and the mages are for most of their lives were kept in a tower because of their power. They were discriminated against for being magic users, and the Templars are people who, they repel magic, and they kept them in towers and guarded them from the world, but also guarded the world from them. So they decided to rebel because they wanted to be free, and I thought that would help with my point a lot because, for the most part, these people are just everyday human beings. They can use magic, but and they're people of all races, but they're no nicer. They're no nicer or even more evil than your average person. But their freedom is taken from them, and now they want to fight to get it back. And I thought they're being discriminated against because they can use magic, and people want them locked up in towers. And by them being locked up in towers, people form a certain opinion of them. They come up with racial slurs that they use within the game toward these people. And there are even moments within the game where an NPC that you initiate conversation with will immediately have a certain view of you because you're a mage. Because my character that I made is, as you can see, a mage. They'll have certain views of you. Like in the game, the main character is seen as what's called the hero of Andraste, which is like Andraste is like their goddess. So he's like the savior of, he or she is the savior of their people, whatever, sent from Andraste. And when you approach a religious man in the beginning, he says that this job or whatever would never be given to. Oh no, it's not the beginning. It's the lady later on toward the beginning. This job would never be given to a mage. The chantry who basically is over the Templars is immediately prejudiced of a mage just because they can use magic. They get this view of them immediately. Another thing I noticed while playing the game is the way that elves are treated within the game. The elves in the game for a long time were actually enslaved by the humans for like hundreds of years before they were released, I guess. I don't remember what the reason was for them being released, but they were enslaved by we'll call it the Tevinter Imperium, people who use blood magic. And, seen as less than human. Well, obviously they weren't humans, but less than people. They were treated like dirt. And when they finally were released from slavery, they were still had to deal with things like poverty and racism. So like they even have slurs within the game specifically for elves. Like one of them is called they call them rabbit for some reason, and it says it's considered a more generous slur by humans who use it, often claiming it is due to the shape of their ears. However, it has been known to be used by or what's called Orlesians, they're from a country nearby, who believe that coupling with an elf is no better than sleeping with an animal. You see, so they say it as bestial. They don't even see them as people, even though they're humanoid. Still, they're elves, but they're still humanoids. Um, the elves have to deal with these type of racial slurs like Hallow which is predominantly used by humans, and it's basically like oversimplifying the elves because of the like they don't ride horses, they ride what's called Hallows, and basically it's basically used as a derogatory term. It's kind of hard to explain unless you really play the game, but like these type of things are seem to be offensive, and I thought that was interesting that they went as far as to put that within the game to really like take their time and come up with slurs to really sell this view of the world that you're basically inhabiting as your character, and make it more realistic in a way. I feel like this game focuses on race and prejudice in a way that I haven't really seen in a lot of other games. I think the only other games I've seen it in are the first Dragon Age, Skyrim, and some instances in Mass Effect. I don't know if you've played it by BioWare, but I think this is probably the most blatant showing of prejudice that I've seen in the video game before. So when playing the game, the kind of character that you pick really determines the experience that you'll have. For example, if you pick a woman, the way NPCs talk to you will be different than if you picked a man. And if you pick a woman who's also an elf, that'll be different as well. Like people won't respect you, they'll use those slurs that I talked about in like conversation, whereas you would never hear them. Well, probably not never, but you wouldn't hear them used towards yourself if you had picked just a human male or something like that. You know, if you pick what's called a Canary, which are like large creatures with horns, and saying they're called like beasts and savages and stuff like that. People would speak to them differently. NPCs talk to them differently within the world. I know it was an instance where if you were an elf woman, your ambassador had to basically protect you from certain slurs. She had to cut in and stop people from talking when they were about to say something racist, you know, and that was just crazy for me to see. Another instance of, well, I guess this would be more gender discrimination rather than racial discrimination, is when you are a female character. And by the way, most of these instances I'm talking about, I played through them and I had the footage, but what I didn't know about the PlayStation 4 is that it only records 15 minutes of video, and then everything after the 15 minutes is erased. So like, if you don't hit save at a certain point, you lose this footage. So I had this footage, but I lost it, and to get it over, what would require me to start a whole new character over, and time was of the essence, obviously. So in this instance, I was a woman. My woman character was speaking with an NPC, and she was somewhat assaulted by a male soldier who basically wasn't taking her seriously and insulted her, and the soldier was ended up being reprimanded by the commander, Cullen, and in fact, the soldier later apologized. You know, so you know, being a woman is very different from being a male, because when I did that same part with my male character, I didn't have that problem. You know, I don't think that option was. I don't think that was an option for me during the conversation. You know. I actually made a few characters on this game to really see what the difference was with the interactions. I made a male Canary, two male humans, one dual sword, one a mage, and I made a woman elf archer. I had a lot of footage because I progressed far with my woman and I progressed far with the Canary, but those are the instances where I was too into the game and I didn't remember to hit save on those clips. So, you know. I can only talk about them now, but they were very different and unique experiences, depending on which character I had. So as I played the games, both games, more and more, I kind of asked myself if this type of thing was necessary to maintain a realistic simulation or whatever, to make the game feel more realistic or the game world feel more realistic, through like using these type of views to cause drama and, you know, evoke emotion or whatever about however you may feel about it. Or, you know, because we see these things in our reality today, like maybe not obviously with elves and Canary, but members of the LGBT community, or even still black people, Latino people. You know, even today we deal with discrimination and racial slurs and things like that on a day-to-day basis, you know what I'm saying, in certain parts of the country or the world. So are these type of things necessary? Like, would the game feel less real without something like this? If everything was all kumbaya and all the races got along, and, you know, maybe you wouldn't even think about it, but like if all the races, these different people got along in this game, would it make the game feel less real? You know what I'm saying? Or does it even make the game feel more authentic at all? Like, some people might not even notice it. Some people, you know, wouldn't notice it unless someone brought it up. Some people don't even think about that type of thing. You know, or people who have played it, if that was taken out, how would that feel? You know what I'm saying? Would it ruin the game for you? Like, would it make it feel phony? I personally don't believe that it's 100% necessary, but it does, like, it feels like it helps make the NPCs of the world seem more real, only because everyone isn't going to accept everyone. Everyone isn't accepting of everyone in their views or whatever. Like, people are racist, people are prejudiced, people are bigots, and I feel like that being in the game is like helps you to kind of, you know, get into the game, feel like you're sunk into the game, like you're a part of the world. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the decisions that you can make to change it. And I like specifically that it's in the game because of, if you pick a character like a elf woman or Canary, and you play as what's called the Inquisitor in the game, you get to, you know, gain fame and kind of come up. So those people you encounter in the world with those prejudices and who feel a certain way about you, the game is allowing you to possibly change their views. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you're provoking social change within the game as you, you know, come up and do certain things in your own way. Like, it was a scene in the game where they were naming me the leader of the Inquisition, and I had a choice of what to say, and I chose to say that I would lead them and show people that, this is what my character said, they would show people that, you know, a mage can do good. You know what I'm saying? That a mage can rise and be a good person, you know, and like the mages on my team approved of what I said. And he basically was saying that it'd be good for people to see a mage in a good light, you know, and like it's a lot of, I feel like it's a lot of change that you could make in the world as far as people's views, and I think that really does help you feel like it's a real world, like you're a part of it because of the change that you're provoking from it. Because I remember from playing the first Dragon Age, the way, or even the mentioning elves being enslaved, or it was a mission in the first Dragon Age where the elves are being sold back into slavery. They're being kidnapped. The free elves are being kidnapped from the city, the capital city of all cities, and being sold into slavery. And basically just how they were treated like second-class citizens. You know what I'm saying? Like, even after they were free, they've still been being treated like second-class citizens. And then in the beginning of this game, as you saw in the beginning of the video, like they still feel like they're lesser than others. You know what I'm saying? Yes, she was a servant, but she still like felt like she was even more or less than me. Who, I mean, I'm an elf too. I don't really know. I don't know if that was because I was supposedly the herald, but you know, she just seemed very submissive and fearful and obedient. And you know, I feel like that's carried on from game to game, but like it's been a passage of time. So like the way they were treated because they were slaves is kind of carried on to the elves after them. And you know, if I made my elf woman is the Inquisitor or whatever, it'll inspire some elves to think better of themselves. And like I feel like BioWare, knowing them, will probably put something like that in the next game of you know, elves not being so submissive, because I feel like they really like transferred a lot from game to game as far as, you know, the views and like the things changing based off your action, especially if certain decisions you made in the first game or the second game or whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That was my little spiel, I guess, on racial prejudice and discrimination in video games. Hope you enjoyed the video, the commentary, most of the video. I feel like I feel like it was pretty good footage. Yeah.
I hope you were. You've said you don't believe you're chosen. Does that mean you also don't believe in the Maker?
I can't really say.
I suppose it doesn't matter now. I have to believe we were put on this path for a reason, even if you do not. Now it simply remains to see where it leads us.